Going on YouTube, CloverBros here, back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be taking a look at some of the best teams that you can use right now in Scarlet and Violet competitive doubles VGC play. All right, and again, just to reiterate that this is for VGC doubles, not singles. All right, I've gotten a couple comments like that, but again, that's okay, right? Because if you're someone that plays a lot of singles and you're looking to get into VGC doubles, then this is the kind of content for you, right? Because I'm all for teaching the newer players how to play this kind of game, because doubles is very different than singles. And in this video, we're going to be going over again some of the basics of VGC doubles, because again, if you want to compete in a tournament, I believe fundamentals are key. And if your team has all those key fundamentals and those key, signature condiments, as I like to say, in other words, the tools that you need to make a good competitive team, then you're going to do very well, right? Obviously, the player has to be good, but part of it is also, do you have the right kind of squad to do well against the rest of the meta, right? So we're going to be covering over a lot of, ideas that some of these teams are trying. We're going to look at our tier list, see if we were correct in terms of early competitive play. And this is by the way, this is a tournament hosted by Joel from the NinoPokeBros. He hosts these tournaments every week pretty much. So if you're looking to get into VGC practice and play some tournament play, I highly recommend you join. They're very low, not low, hold on. They're very low entry, which means like you're able to join very easily. All right, and then you can win some prize pool money, which is really, really nice. And Joel's a really, really cool guy in the community. He's done this since the Sword and Shield days. So definitely consider joining them. It's good practice, right? If you want to test out an idea, then this is the kind of place to do it. So this way, you can get some information and data if you're trying to compete in a regional, and this is these kinds of online grassroots tournaments is the best place to do it, right? And again, if you haven't joined. If you haven't followed Joel and the NinoPokeBros on Twitter, please do so, because that's how you'll get all the latest news and how you'll be able to get news onto joining tournaments for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, right? So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into the analysis portion of the video. We're going to be looking at some of these teams, breaking them down a little bit. We don't know all the sets, of course, because a lot of the players, they're keeping their stuff secret. Some of these are rentals, so we do know some information there. And then we'll still be discussing, like, in terms of team composition, why these teams were the best and why they were able to do so well. So let's just get down straight to it. All right, so the first topic I want to talk about is the value of Intimidate, right? So having Intimidate on your team is one of those VGC fundamentals that you want to have in terms of team composition, because if you can get Intimidate on your opponent, then you can just reduce their physical attack damage. And then just, because there's two Pokemon on the field, you can't be taking all those attacks, of course. You got to be able to reduce some damage, and damage reduction is one of those things you want to have on your team, and Intimidate is one option there. And again, you can see that there's two premier options, one of them being Arcanine and the second one being Gyarados, right? So let's take a look at these teams. How many of these teams ran an Intimidate, and how many of them ran Arcanine and Gyarados? So first place by Fedo Campo VGC, he has a Gyarados. Joe from just Joe UX9, he's got a Gyarados over here. Ray's got a Gyarados. Okay, any other Gyarados? Okay, so 3 Gyarados in the top 3. Okay, none in the bottom 5. By the way, this is a 99-person tournament. I just want to say that. Okay, this is not just like an 8-person tournament and this is the rank, right? This is a 99-person tournament. And again, so now from here, who else has Intimidate? 1, Dread Mamba has Arcanine. Evelyn's got an Arcanine. Giso's got an Arcanine. There's an Arcanine, and then over here another Arcanine. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 Arcanines and 3 Gyaradoses, right? And again, if you look back at our tier list over here, where did we rank Arcanine? S tier. And where did we rank Gyarados? Very close to S tier, right? Pretty much almost at the top of the A tier. And it makes sense, right? Because what do they bring to your team? Not only do they bring Intimidate, but they also provide a little bit more offense than some of your other Intimidators in the format, right? So if you look at some of these stats, like let's just go and just put both Arcanine and Gyarados over here, just to give you a perspective. Look at this. Gyarados still has a 125 base attack stat. It's very, very good. Arcanine has 110, also pretty good. Okay, and then look at their bulk. Base 90 HP you know, base 80 defense, base 80 special defense. So Arcanine is a very bulky Intimidate mon, which means you're able to pivot it and position it in and out, so you can always recycle your Intimidates and drop those physical attackers, you know, to 1 or 2 stages. And you're able to do the same thing with Gyarados, like base 100 special defense, base 95 HP, and then 79 defense might seem low, but again, you're getting off an Intimidate, so you're reducing physical damage anyway. So, you know, this 79 kind of feels like 99 a little bit, right? So that's the value here of Intimidate. And then what kind of sets are they running? So again, we talked about damage reduction and status, right? So of course, both of these things are going to get their classic stat moves of Flare Blitz and Waterfall. You know, that's nothing standard there. I mean, that's nothing different there. But then Arcanine, he's got Snarl and he's got Will-O-Wisp. Okay, so Snarl reduces special attack damage. Okay, and Will-O-Wisp burns physical attackers, right? So unless they have something like a Lumberry, now their physical moves are just doing, you know, almost no damage. And if it's a spread move, that's it. You know, you've done the job. Arcanine has done the job. And then usually this last move is like a coverage set or even a supportive set. So I've seen stuff like Helping Hand. I've seen stuff like Extreme Speed, you know, and then just being able to go with Terra Normal, kind of like the Dragonite thing that we've been seeing. And then just going for like E-Speed, hard-hitting, you know, Terra Normal damage. I've seen extra coverage moves like Close Combat to hit those dark types, especially, you know, Roaring Moon. You know, I've seen that. I've also seen stuff like Play Rough, again, another coverage move for the dark types and the dragons at the same time. So that's another good coverage move. I've even, to a lesser degree, seen, where is it here? I've seen Wild Charge, but I don't know if that one's as great. I'm not too sure about that one, so I'm not going to list that one yet. But look, this thing gets Charm. This thing gets Charm, so that's even like more Intimidate. And then for me, it gets Leer, drop more defense, Scary Face. Like, come on, man. Arcanine's got all these support moves. But this is the main 3 sets that usually they like to run. And then for Gyarados over here, so there's a couple of options with Gyarados. So like you can do like a Dragon Dance set along with Protect, and then have a Lumberry. So now not only are you an Intimidator, but now you can become an offensive threat. And I believe I was talking to him just a little bit a second ago. I was talking to Ray. And he actually ran a Dragon Dance Gyarados set, so that's pretty cool. But if you don't want to run like an offensive Gyarados, again, Gyarados also gets Helping Hand. It also gets Icy Wind, so you can also opt for speed control. Just make this like a very, very bulky set. So there's an option there. It also gets Bulldoze, you know, just another speed control move. You know, if you're next to like another flying type, for example, that's an option there. Okay, I've also seen, where is it over here? I haven't seen Sub Gyarados just yet, but I have seen Taunt. I've seen Taunt, and I haven't seen Thunder Wave yet, but where else is there? So again, another Scary Face user. You know, just a lot of support options that Gyarados can do. But at the very least, you know, the Dragon Dance set is a pretty popular set. I've also seen like Assault Vest on this thing, but I think the most common item was honestly just the Citrus Berry set, you know, just for like recovery. Same with the Arcanine, it was also a Citrus Berry set, you know, just like good recovery with your pivoting, because you're always cycling in and out. So then whatever you come in, you might be taking some damage, but then you just get some recovery with the Citrus Berry, right? But again, the whole point with Arcanine and Gyarados is, again, they give you a defensive backbone to your team that it needs, right? So they're able to reduce damage. They're able to support your Pokemon with a little bit of speed control if you need to do it. But ultimately, they're just bulky Intimidate users that can put out a little bit of offensive damage. So there's that, right? So again, you know, how many teams have physical Mons as options, right? Dragonite is a physical Mon, right? Qianpao. And then over here, King Gambit, their own Gyarados. Garchomp from Joe. Tyranitar, another Gyarados. Iron Hands. All these 3 things need to be Intimidated, otherwise they're just going to do too much damage. Dread Mambo's team, Tyranitar, Arcanine, Garganacl, and then, you know, again, one of the Ruins, Qianpao again, 4 Mons, okay? And then Evelyn's team, actually not too much, a lot of special attackers. Dragonite has Inner Focus, so really just the Qianpao, so that's pretty good. Giso over here, same thing, Tyranitar, unless some of these things have an amulet, which we'll talk about in a second. But again, look at all these physical Mons on both teams here. Roaring Moon, King Gambit. you know, you need that support. Otherwise, they just do too much damage, these mons, right? So you need to be able to mitigate that so you can keep yourself in the game, right? So there's the value of Intimidate. So anytime you're doing like competitive team building and you want to do like have a good squad, I definitely recommend using one of these two. They're very, very nice. They're cream of the crop in terms of Intimidate options. Granted, there are others, but you don't see them anywhere in the top cut, right? So always go with the top options if you want a good team. All right, so we talked about Intimidate. Now let's talk about the next kind of VGC fundamentals that you want on a team. Okay, the second thing that you want on a competitive team is this idea called redirection, right? And what that means is you're able to redirect an incoming attack and tank it. So this way your partner Pokemon, usually a little bit more frailer, but usually a glass cannon can deal out damage without getting touched or without fainting so easily, right? So the premier redirectors right now are either Indeedee or Amoonguss with the slight chance of Volcarona, right? And you can look at these teams. How many of them have an Amoonguss? First place team, Amoonguss. Second place team, Amoonguss. Third place team, Amoonguss. Dread Mambo, no Amoonguss, but it's got Volcarona. It also has Rage Powder. That's 4 redirections. Evelyn doesn't have any redirection, neither does Giso, but that's okay. Right here, the Indeedee. Actually, is that the male or female Indeedee? I think that's the male one. We'll check that in a second. They may not have had the sprite, but we're going to assume that's male Indeedee for now. But Drossel, again, also Amoonguss. So, redirection in the top 3, and then one more in the top, in the last slot, in the last 8 over there. So, you wonder, wait a minute, I thought Brute Bonnet was supposed to be the better Amoonguss. You see, you can't necessarily say that. Like, yes, it is technically a quote-unquote better Amoonguss, but it depends on the role that you want for the team, right? Because if you compare Amoonguss and Brute Bonnet, let's do that real quick. I was actually going to do a separate video on this, but we'll just mention it now, and then I guess we'll just put out a separate video later on these two. Brute Bonnet versus Amoonguss. Okay, first of all, Amoonguss, if you compare the bulk with Brute Bonnet, it doesn't compare as much, right? So the HP is almost the same. Amoonguss has a little bit more base HP, but look at the bulk here on Brute Bonnet. 99 defense, 99 special defense. Amoonguss, 70 defense and 80 special defense. So Amoonguss is not as bulky as Brute Bonnet, yet you see it more in the top cut. Why is that? Because Brute Bonnet is more of an offensive bulkier mon, right? So base 127 attack is actually really, really nice. And the thing is, it's more offensively stronger, but the typing is not as good. Grass Dark versus Grass Poison, not as great, because now you're susceptible to the fairies, aka Flutter Mane. You're susceptible to the fighting moves, like Sacred Sword from Chien-Pao or even Iron Hands, and then close combat from a lot of other things. And then Amoonguss, you're not really susceptible to those things, especially the fighting damage, right? So that's kind of good as well. And you still have Regenerator, so you're able to pivot in and out and cycle and get HP back. Brute Bonnet can't do that. Photosynthesis just, gives it a speed boost, or, you just get your highest stat, multiplied by 1.3. So this is more of an offensive bulkier mon, but not great typing, not as good of an ability as Amoonguss in terms of what you want it to do. You want it to redirect, okay, take some hits, and then maybe get off a potential spore, right? Amoonguss can do that job a little bit better than Brute Bonnet. Brute Bonnet is just more offensively gifted, I guess I can say it that way, because Amoonguss is a little bit more passive, right? So you still have Rage Powder and Spore, for both of these mons, right? Of course, that role doesn't change, but here you're just running stuff like either Crunch or something like Sucker Punch, for priority. It's still a good dark move. And then here you could just do like Seed Bomb, or you can just do like Protect, or you can do Seed Bomb and then no dark move and then just Protect. So either way, it's up to you, but I'm just showing you the typical sets. Amoonguss, again, same idea. Either it's like Giga Drain and Protect, or no Protect with Giga Drain and something like Pollen Puff, to be able to heal or deal some damage at the same time, or maybe just Pollen Puff, no Giga Drain, and then Protect. But either way, these are the sets. But why would you need redirection on your team? So again, what are you trying to keep safe? So if I look at some of these options here, first of all, you need something for Trick Room. That's the other advantage of Amoonguss. So this way you can flip the game on the opponent if they click Trick Room, because now all of a sudden your Amoonguss is the fastest thing on the field. So you might be able to set up potential Tailwinds or Trick Rooms of your own. I can kind of see that here. I don't know if if Fede actually had that setup. I know, you know, Fluttermane can run Trick Room, and I know one of these ones can get Tailwind, so you can always do that. The Dragon Knight can also go for Dragon Dance, potentially. I don't know if this one had it. I know most of the Dragon Knights are like Choice Band stuff. But again, you can also set up the Gyarados with the Dragon Dance, right? Redirect it, and there's your form of Speed Control, ideally. So there's that. Joe, again, you know, you want to set up your Rotom. Actually, I think he was Specs when he was playing in the tour. So actually, I don't think this was a Nasty Plot set. I'll have to check, but I think he was Specs. And I don't know if his Gyarados was a Dragon Dance set either. I couldn't quite see all his move sets. But again, if you were to like try and build your own set, like this could run Dragon Dance, this could run Nasty Plot, this could run Swords Dance, right? I don't know if you run 3 setup mons, you know, maybe just 1 or 2, but you know, you get the idea there. And then over here with Ray, same idea, Quiver Dance, set up your Volcarona, or Dragon Dance, either T-Tar or Gyarados. And then over here, same thing with Dread Mama, set up Dragon Dance on either of these mons or Quiver Dancer. Evelyn, more or less the same thing. Actually, I think this is just Choice Band over here, right? I don't think, oh wait, no, there's no Amoonguss here. Right here, oh yes. Dragon Dance here with the Roaring Moon. I kind of like this build with like Arcanine, Amoonguss, Rotom, and then a Dragon Fairy type like this. I think this is a very good core. We're gonna show this core in a future video. And then there's a Steel type in King Gambit. So, you know, this is like another good Trick Room mon. Just in case the opponent goes for it. You have 2 Trick Room mons, and you have a little bit more offense and a little bit faster mode with the Roaring Moon and Fluttermane. So, again, value of Redirection, able to do well in Trick Room, the Amoonguss, and able to allow some of your mons to set up, right? So very good, very valuable in VGC. Let's look at the next thing. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about is, again, another key component in team building, and that's cores, right? And when we say cores, I'm talking about like the popular typing cores, and there's 2 of them. You have either what's called a Fantasy core, which is a Dragon Fairy Steel core, or you have the Fire, Water, Grass core. And if you look at these teams, you can see that they have either one or the other. And depending on if they have like a Terra type, you might see that it's one of the types are initially missing, but then if you have that Terra type, then you get that type back anyway, right? So let's look at Fede's team. I see Chiyu, I see Gyarados, and I see Amoonguss. Fire, Water, Grass core. I see Dragonite, and I see Fluttermane, Dragon Fairy, and then probably the Dragonite has Iron Head, so I don't know if he's opting for Terra Normal, but he can also opt for Terra Steel, and you get a Dragon Fairy Steel core that way. Joe, he already has a Steel type separately on his team, so Garchomp, Grimmsnarl, King Gambit, Dragon Fairy Steel core, right? And then, of course, Rotom, Gyarados, Amoonguss, Fire, Water, Grass. He's got both of those on his team. You know, very flexible in terms of pivoting. All right, he's got great, just great flexibility in how he wants to play his team. It runs really, really smooth. I saw a lot of his games, so great job by Joe. But yeah, this is honestly, this is my favorite team of the 6. It's just so balanced, right? And you know, it just doesn't rely on the gimmick we know with the Dragonite, you know, Champ House stuff. But more on that another day. Ray, right over here, same idea. Look, Gyarados, Amoonguss, and Volcarona, Fire, Water, Grass, right? Dread Mamba. Actually, there's no core here, but that's okay. All right, this still works, right? You still got a Dragon type over here. You still got Fire types. Actually, you got 2 Fire types. So that's very, very interesting. All right, and then it's just Champ with a bunch of physical hitters, right? So okay, that makes sense. So no cores there. Evelyn. So what do we got here? Yeah. You got a Water type, you got Fire type. Is there a Grass type? No. So again, another 2 Fire types here, but you got Dragonite, you got Fluttermane, Dragon Fairy. Maybe one of these is Steel type. I don't know if the Dragonite had Steel type. I'll have to take a look at the team, but yeah. Then if you look, if you keep going down the list over here, so still a couple of the cores here. You got a Fire type and a Water type. All right, then there's a Fairy type over here. Not too bad. There's no core here, but that's okay. Well, not in terms of typing. Over here, yep, we got it back here again. So Arcanine, Rotom, Amoonguss. Right, you see a lot of Arcanine, Rotom, Amoonguss, right? So it's Dragon. So there's your Fire, Water, Grass core, and then the the Roaring Moon, the Fluttermane, and the King Gambit, right? I actually like this team a lot. And you know, even though you don't have as much speed control, but you technically can do like Icy Wind or Trick Room with Jarshal's squad. So you get speed control that way. You also get Dragon Dance, but again, Dragon Fairy Steel, and then Fire, Water, Grass. So there's a nice double core there. great for pivoting, great for positioning. So, you know, great job by all these players keeping their teams to, you know, strictly fundamentals right now, right? So, again, we covered Intimidate, we covered Redirection, we covered VGC cores, Fire, Water, Grass, Dragon, Fairy, Steel. You know, again, these are all things you want to think about when trying to build your squad for competitive games, right? So let's go into the next topic. All right, so the next topic I want to talk about is the dominance of the offensive fairy type, right? And also the defensive one as well. So there's really only two main options that you can see here, but there is a sneak runner in the third place. But no surprise here, the dominance of Fluttermane, right? How many teams have Fluttermane here? So Fede Campo's got one, Ray's got one, that's two. No fairy for Dread Moment, that's interesting. Evelyn's got three, Kiso 4, Pseudos Pablos, that's 5, and then Jarso, that's 6. 6 Fluttermanes in the top 8. Oh my goodness, right? And then why? Why is this thing everywhere? Why is it banned in Smogon? And why is it so good? But and again, remember, this is not singles. This is VGC. There's no bans. Okay, we don't play that. You know, you can use whatever you want. But Fluttermane, again, let's look at it. So let me just remove these one last time. So look at the options it gets. First of all, it's a Ghost Fairy type. So you're able to put pressure on a lot of the dark types, you know, because we are in a dark heavy meta. So if you got a strong fairy, that's what you want. Base 135 speed, base 135 special attack, and 135 special defense. Very, very bulky, very fast, very hard hitting. Only on the special defense side it is bulky, but because look at the HP and the defense stat, not so great. But that's why you need Intimidate and Redirection on your team, right? So you can protect the Fluttermane. But you have the option for single target damage with Moonblast and Shadow Ball, or you have the option to keep Shadow Ball but go with Dazzling Gleam. Okay. Then from here you have Icy Wind, speed control, so you can win the mirror matchup and get speed that way, or you can, and then you can have Protect. You can run the Life Orb set, so a little bit more offensive. You can run the booster set, so this way, you know, you can get a speed boost, you know, if you go like max like this. All right, so there is that. Or you can even do, what's another offensive? You can even do like Choice Specs. I've seen this one, or Choice Scarf. Specs or Scarf is interesting for a little bit more damage, because you figured like, you know, you're getting the boost anyway with speed, with photosynthesis. Let me get a little bit more damage and then just go with Choice Specs. So there's the idea behind that. Or you can even do like Scarf, you know, because you, again, are so focused on winning that mirror matchup. So you might even go with the Scarf set with an Icy Wind, right? But not only that, this thing also gets Trick Room, man. So with Trick Room and then something like a Focus Sash, so you're able to be a little bit more supportive. And against the Tailwind teams, if they want to click Tailwind, you click Trick Room, and all of a sudden you flip the board against them. And now you and your Amoonguss have speed control for the rest of the game, or at least not for the rest of the game, for the next 4 turns, right? So you have this kind of set, but again, it's base 135 special attack. It does a lot of damage, and you know, the dark types are having a lot of time, especially all the dragons. Dragonite, Garchomp, Dragapult, Chien-Pao, you know, these are all mons that just drop to Fluttermane, right? And that's the reasoning behind this really, really strong offensive mon. And it's just really good. And then you can't fake it out, you're a ghost type, so there's that. You are not faster than Dragapult, but because you're a fairy, you can still kill it. So that's always important. But yeah, you know, it's just like, wow, the amount of Fluttermane here is just insane. And it goes well with the dragons, right? And it goes well with, you know, just the support that it can bring to your team. But not only that, speaking of support, Grimmsnarl is the other fairy. If you want to go that route, of course, that's my personal favorite. It's our secondary mascot on the channel. So Joe's got the Grimmsnarl, Smart Man Joe, and then Giso's got the Grimmsnarl, so good option there. And I believe that's it. All right, so 2 Grimmsnarls in the top 8. But again, if you want to consider what Grimmsnarl brings to your team, so the kind of like the opposite of Fluttermane, where instead of putting out offense, you're just going for, you know, added bulk for the rest of your team. So Spirit Break, Light Screen, Reflect, and then Parting Shot is now like this latest new toy that people are playing with. So like if you don't have any kind of speed control on your team, whether you don't have Tailwind, Trick Room, Icy Wind, Bulldoze, Electro Web, any of those control moves, it helps to have Grimmsnarl on the team, right? Because, you know, if you add bulk to your squad with like Reflect and Light Screen, you may not go first, but the damage you're taking is not that much, so that's okay, because then even when you go next, you'll deal more damage than your opponent did to you because you relied on your screens. So that's one way you can kind of deal with Trick Room and Tailwind, and stall them out. Just like set up your screens, hide behind them, and then just neuter them with Parting Shot and Spirit Breaks, and then your physical or special sweepers behind those screens can help clean up the game, right? So there's the idea behind Grimmsnarl. But you also have other moves like Thunder Wave. You have a Fake Tear set to help you deal more damage with your special attackers. That's fake. You also have Fake Out if you want that too. But again, I was looking at Fake Tears. What else do you have here? Scary Face, again, another form of speed control versus Thunder Wave. Just one is more accurate than the other. And then one, you keep the speed reduction because of paralysis, whereas Scary Face, you can always just pivot out and reset it, right? So there's the idea. So offensive fairy in Flutter main, defensive fairy in Grimmsnarl, depending on how you want it for your team, it serves a purpose, right? So, pick one of the two, see which one of the fairies fits your kinds of squad, and then just roll with it. All right, so let's look at the next thing. All right, the next option I want to talk about here is the value of Rotom, right? So Rotom is a good option at this point in Scarlet and Violet, mainly because you virtually have no weaknesses if you're like a Rotom Heat, for example, or not like Rotom Heat, but either Rotom actually, because what you can do now is just Terra into an Electric, and now you're only weak to ground, but ground can't hit you because you're levitating. So you don't have any weaknesses. And if you're using a mon that doesn't have any weakness, that's good because you're not going to be taking super effective damage. And both of them are able to use the redirection support from Amoonguss and then just go for like a nasty plot set, right? So if I just delete some of these, so if you go like Amoonguss, the two cores is like Amoonguss, Rotom Heat, and then something like a Gyarados, for example, right? And then these kinds of cores do really, really well next to Garchomp, just because the Rotoms, they can run Discharge, and then they can run like nasty plot stuff, all right? And then over here, you can just run like Overheat, and then Protect in the last slot, or even like a Will-O-Wisp set, or Volt Switch set, or an E-Web set. I think I still get views. The other one gets E-Webs, all right? So Protect over here. So you have Discharge, Earthquake combos with Garchomp. This is why this kind of core works really well. And then your Garchomp can Earthquake next to Gyarados because your Gyarados is a flying type. Again, the Amoonguss can help redirect and help set up Nasty Plot. It can also help set up Dragon Dance for your Gyarados. It can help set up Swords Dance for your Garchomp if you have to use it that way. Lots of options with this core, all right? And, the Discharge Earthquake combo just does so much damage, right? And the paralysis chance is always really, really nice. But, in terms of coverage, you're able to at least deal big damage to some of these ice types over here, some of these, grass types, some of these flying types that are running around. Okay, so really, really nice in terms of the Rotom Heat. In terms of team composition wise, it's really nice. Or you can just do it this way, where you have the Amoonguss, but instead of Gyarados, you have the Arcanine, and then your water type is now the Rotom Wash. I put water. Yeah, this is the other core. So this is your either Fire, Water, Grass core, and then you have some Dragon, some Fairy over here. So like for example, a Flutter main, then maybe Dragonite, and then you're with an E-Speed move of Iron Head, and then Chien-Pao, something like this, right? And then this is like another kind of core. So, but again, Rotom, no weaknesses. So again, Hydro Pump. Really nice. Then you can also go for Thunderbolt or Discharge if you're with a Garchomp, and then Nasty Plot, all right, and then Protect over here. So you can also go for Will-O-Wisp. That's also an option. You can also go for Electro Web. Oh, it actually loses Electro Web this generation. Never mind. Okay, forget that. And then from here, you could just do like a Citrus Berry set, just to like have recovery, of course. But yeah, the Rotoms are good. You just have to pray you don't miss with like Overheat and Hydro Pump and that kind of play. But if you have a mon that doesn't have any weakness, really, really nice option to have in Scarlet and Violet. So glad to see 3 of them do well, 3 of them in the top 8. So go figure. All right, let's look at the next idea. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is the plethora of dark types on the teams. So if you go through 1 through 8, let's take a look here. So Fede Campos team, dark coverage, yes. Qianpao and Chiyu, right? And again, the thing with dark coverage is because there's so many in the meta, this is why teams need fairies, right? Otherwise, the dark types are going to have, they're just going to run away with the game. And then this is also why you need fighting types, because for that reason. And then because there's so much darks and fighting types, this is, again, more reason to have a fairy or have fairy coverage on your team, right? So you got Qianpao and Chiyu for dark coverage here, and then maybe even Crunch on Dragonite, or Gyarados. I don't know the set, but there's that. Joe UX9, again, dark coverage on the Grimmsnarl. I don't think he ran a dark move though. But King Gambit, there's your dark coverage. Ray over here, dark coverage with Tyranitar. Okay, Dreadmobile, same thing, dark coverage with T-Tar, and then Qianpao. And then Evelyn, dark coverage, Qianpao, Chiyu. Okay, look at this. And then Gisu, Tyranitar has dark coverage. Grimmsnarl, even the typing there, but I don't think he ran a dark move. Pseudo-Pavlos, dark coverage with Qianpao, okay? And then Jarcel, again, double dark with Roaring Moon and King Gambit. I really like this team, by the way. So yeah, there's so much dark coverage on your team, and it just makes so much sense to have it with Qianpao, right? Look how many Qianpaos are in these teams, okay? I just want to say this. So 1, 2, 3, 4 Qianpaos. 4 out of the top 8 have Qianpao, and again, you're trying to combo it with Dragonite or some other physical mon, like Fede combo. You know, Qianpao, Dragonite. You know, there's one combo there. All right, Qianpao, Gyarados. There's that thing. Joe didn't use it. Ray also didn't use it. Dreadmombo. All right, Qianpao, Dragonite, Arcanine, T-Tar, Garganical. Okay, 4 physical mons. All right, with the Qianpao, technically 5. All right, Evelyn over here. Qianpao, Dragonite. Okay, E-Speed Shenanigans with Arcanine over here. Giso, Tyranitar. Wait, no, there's no Qianpao. Never mind. Over here, Arcanine. Again, physical over Armor Rouge. Okay, again, also benefits. Wait, no, never mind. That's the special version. Jarshel. All right, again, wait, no, they didn't use Qianpao either. Okay, but of the teams that had Qianpao, 3 of them were able to combo it with like a strong, actually all 4 of them have strong physical attackers, right? And then again, you know, getting those defense reductions with the ability from Qianpao just makes the game go quicker because you're dropping defenses, you're clicking priority moves, they do so much damage, and then, you know, you just overwhelm the opponent this way, right? So again, if you're interested in trying out a Qianpao with like physical options, try one of these because it's great success, right? And you know, the physical mons just really benefit because it changes a lot of different damage calcs, right? So there's that. So we talked about Rotom, we talked about dark coverage, and you know, the plethora of the fairy types that you're gonna need in response to all those things, right? And I just want to talk about a couple more things, and then I'm going to show a couple rental teams of these 8 that you can use and try. I don't have all 8 rental teams, you know, because a lot of these people are keeping them secret or haven't released them yet, but we do have some, so you can scroll to that timestamp if you want to, but I just have like a couple more things I want to mention about these squads. Okay, the last thing I want to mention before we get into looking at some of these teams is maybe some adaptation that can be done just based on these results. So what did we learn? We learned that Dragonite plus Qianpao is a lot of damage, right? And people might try to start countering that, right? Because if Qianpao and Dragonite are together, that means Dragonite's going for Terra Normal, and then Qianpao stays as Dark Ice, which means you got 2 types there that are weak to fighting damage, right? So either you have that, and then you also have like potential more hard hitters. But I really think that something like Volcarona could really rise, right? Because you can see here, 2 of them ran Volcarona, but if you just look at the tool set that Volcarona can give you on a team, let's look at this for a second. I never really like delved into Volcarona, but I want to do that now, and I think it could do really well. So of course it gets Rage Powder, right? That's the main thing, but it also gets Quiver Dance, where you can get a +1 to special attack, special defense, and speed. And then you can get speed control that way and also deal a lot of damage. And then if you have Terra Fire, you know, these heat waves that you're going to put out here are really nice. And then even protect in the last slot, that's also an option. You can also go with like a bulkier set where if you have Rage Powder and then Tailwind, right? You guys forgot that Volcarona gets Tailwind, and then, you know, give your team speed control that way. That's also kind of cool. You could do like combinations with Bug Buzz, and then just combo this. You're dropping special defenses, and then you combo it with another Pokemon that's also another good special attacker that may not be as fast, that can take advantage. So there's that. If you take a look over here, you had the Flutter main on this side, and then over here, nothing really that could have taken advantage. But again, it all depends on the kind of team that you make up, right? So I think Volcarona makes a lot of sense. It also gets Fiery Dance, where you can raise your special attack by +1. That's also kind of cool. You also have Giga Drain. You can go for Terra Grass, get recovery that way. Leech Life. Well, no, not Leech Life. That's also that's a physical move. But yeah, what else do you get? Will-O-Wisp is an interesting thing to use. But yeah, Struggle Bug. Oh yeah, so you're lowering special attack. Yeah, this is another one I was looking for. A String Shot, where you can go for more speed reduction. This is another supportive set. This thing also gets Screech. I did not know that, but now I do. But yeah, these are like some of the main sets I want to consider, right? The Quiver Dance set or a Tailwind set. I think both are really, really nice. And then of course, the Flame Body chance of burning these targets, like especially if a Dragonite's clicking E-Speed into Volcarona and then burns itself. That's kind of funny, because then it just doesn't really do a whole lot of damage. So I expect Volcarona to see a little bit more play. I think it'll rise a little bit now that people have seen that it can do a little bit well. But yeah, other than that, this is good information for now, and something to build off of, and something to consider and look at when going forward in the next kinds of tours, right? So hopefully this information was a little bit helpful for you guys in terms of team building. I like looking at some of these teams from an analytical point of view. I think it's really, really cool. So yeah, hopefully it helped you. But now let's go into the rental part of the video, where I'll give you, I think, 3 of the rental teams of the 8. So let's take a look here. Okay, so let's look at the first rental here. So again, this is one of the teams that Evelyn was using, and again, it was a rental made by a Japanese player. But you can see the Iron Bundle has Taunt and Icy Wind, so good speed control there. And Chilling Warrior is an interesting option, right? And then of course there's the Boost Energy, the Chiyu Scarf. Okay, so there's the Scarf set with Snarl and Dark Pulse, and of course Heat Wave. So damage reduction, and then of course you're able to get speed control, not speed control, but outspeed the opponent by going for Snarl, so that's also really, really nice. Dragonite, no surprise there, it's a Choice Band set with extreme speed. Iron Head, Fire Punch, and Aqua Jet is an interesting choice. I would not have expected that one, but Aqua Jet Choice Band makes a lot of sense, I guess, a little bit. But I think I would like to see another move there, but still pretty good. Flutter main, it's got Substitute, so that's actually really cool, and it's got Life Orb, so you're able to deal out a lot of damage while hiding behind the Substitute. Great strategy, because you already have the Icy Wind on the Iron Bundle, right? So you can always just go for sub. Chen Pal, Throat Chop, Sacred Sword, those are relatively standard. Of course, with the Focus S, it's got Ice Shard as well, another priority move. See, that's the thing, right? Look how many priority moves you have here. Like Arcanine has priority, Dragonite has priority move, Chen Pal has priority move. These are all 3 Pokemon that have a priority move, and then the Chiyu has Scarf, and then the Iron Bundle has Icy Wind. So there's your speed control that way, right? Whether things are in Trick Room or Tailwind, doesn't matter if you have priority moves, right? So there's the idea there. So really, really nice, clever ideas, and it was made by Himon, I guess, because I can see the trainer idea over there. But yeah, this is the first rental. If you want to give it a go and use it, definitely consider it. Let's look at another one. Okay, the next rental is the one that Dread Mamba was using, and again, this one, hey, there's the Volcarona set, there's that Tailwind Rage Powder with Bug Buzz and Heat Wave, so, and then, of course, Covert Cloak. You can't fake it out if you want to go for Tailwind, so really, really nice there. I'm glad to see the Tailwind there. I really like that set. Tyranitar's got Dragon Dance, so that's also really cool with Life Orb, so there's the violence there. Dragonite, so Fire Punch, E-Speed, and Iron Head, and then there's the Dragon Stab move, and of course, it is Choice Band. The Chienpao, no Ice Shard, but Ice Spinner instead, so a little bit more damage, no priority there. The Arcanine is a little bit more offensive with Play Rough, and there's Snarl, no Will-O-Wisp, there's Extreme Speed, and then there's an Assault Vest, so it's a bulky Arcanine set, so that's kind of cool. And then Garganical, meant to come into those Trick Room games, Iron Defense Body Press stuff, just so that you have that endgame with leftovers, and then, you can just secure yourself with Salt Cure and then heal with Recover. So this way, you always win a one-on-one endgame with Garganical, right? But you can see the combinations here. Set up Tailwind, Alright, and then get Tyranitar, Dragonite, and then your physical options to sweep. Chien-Pao plus, Dragonite is, very, very strong. Chien-Pao with Tyranitar is really strong, especially after Dragon Dance. Chien-Pao and Arcanine is really strong. So really, really cool there. And then Garganical always has these setup plays where you can just one-on-one and win end games that way. So there's that. So really cool squad. Definitely give it a go. And then let's look at one more. Okay, this is the Renter that Pseudopablos was using. And again, this is a Trick Room kind of set because you have NDD Armor Rouge, right? So you click Follow Me, you redirect any incoming attacks. The Armor Rouge is able to set up Trick Room and then go for hard-hitting like Armor Cannons and Expanding Forces in Psychic's range. So that's really, really nice. And then from there, you've got Follow Me, again on the NDD Helping Hand, I should say, for extra damage. Rock's Helmet. To take some of those physical moves and then just chip them right back with a little bit of damage there. Sylveon has Life Orb with Hyper Voice, Terra Blast, Helping Hand, and Detect. Relatively standard set. So Hyper Voice is going to do a lot of damage, especially if you can just benefit off of that Life Orb. And then Terra Fire is really cool. There's no Mystical Fire for Sylveon this time around, so this is for like the opposing Steel types. So that's kind of cool because if you look at Flutter Mane and Chien-Pao, very, very vulnerable to Steel. So there's the option there, and your own Sylveon. So you got 3 mons weak to Steel originally. So having this out, it's Terra Fire along with Armor Rouge, I guess, gives you some options there. Arcanine, again, Flare Blitz, Extreme Speed, Close Combat, and Snarl. Another Assault Vest set. I think it's really cool. Again, we mentioned in the video, we're seeing Close Combat from Arcanines. Just meant to deal a lot of damage into those Dragon types, especially like Roaring Moon, for example. So that's really, really cool there. Chien-Pao, another Ice Spinner, Sucker Punch, Sacred Sword set, along with that Focus Sash. And then Flutter Mane, there's the Icy Wind set with Dazzling Gleam, Shadow Ball, and Icy Wind. And then this is a Booster Energy set. So relatively cool. Again, there's a Trick Room mode. There's a little bit of a faster mode. And then Chien-Pao just wants to deal damage with like, Arcanine and itself, right? So there's the idea behind that. Sylveon is also an interesting option because of that Life Orb. It can do like a big amount of damage. So, in Trick Room, it can really, really thrive if the Armor is able to set it up. So there's that. So give this one a go also. Just try all these different rentals. There's 3 of them. And again, get some good practice with these tournaments that Nino is hosting. I think he's doing another one next week. Be sure to follow them on Twitter. I guess we'll link his Twitter handle. Of course, he's the one that hosted the tour. So, shout outs to Joel from the NinoPokeBros for doing that. But yeah, back to his graphic over here. Where is that? Yep, this thing. So again, there's the top 8. So let me know what you think of our analysis and breakdown of some of these tournament teams, and let me know if I gave you any ideas on how you want to build your team for competitive play. And hopefully we just gave you some things to think about in terms of the fundamentals of VGC doubles. All right, so we'll be back with another video in the next one, guys. Peace out and have a good night.